Last time out, we started a brand new save, seeing if it was possible to play as a director of football on FM23. We took over at Spurs, and our first task was finding and appointing a brand new head coach. I put out an application form, people applied, including Neil Critchley, and eventually we chose Angelo Peruzzi as our new head coach. He is the former Lazio, Inter, Juventus goalkeeper and was the best of what could only possibly be described as a bad bunch. He also didn't get a work permit for the first 2 weeks of the season, meaning we went into games against Liverpool and Manchester United without a manager. We lost 5-1 and then 5-0, and also the coach that took charge of those games, Gianni Vio, lost his job. He's lost 5-0. You're out. Gianni Vio, he's out of here. Peruzzi was there for the next game, which was also a loss. We lost to Arsenal in the North London derby at the Emirates 2-1. But I did manage to make some signings. I brought in Alessandro Bastoni at centre-back and also Alexis McAllister in midfield, hoping to fit them in to Peruzzi's chosen 5-2-2-1 formation or tactic. Since then, I've been watching over the progress of Peruzzi's team up until the January transfer window of season 1. Let me show you how he's been getting on. And as we head into January, then, it is January the 1st, 2023. We're 5th in the league, or should I say Angelo Peruzzi is 5th in the league with his Tottenham side, which, all things considered, I think is pretty successful, actually, considering that he lost 5-1 to Liverpool, he lost 5-0 to United, he lost the North London derby to Arsenal in his first, well, 2 of them weren't even his games, but in our first 3 games, the recovery's been pretty good. We sit in those Europa League spots. We're a point behind Arsenal, even though they do have a game in hand, but we're in these European spots. We're above teams like Newcastle, teams like Chelsea. We're in the mix. We're in there. I mean, we're quite a long way behind United, City and Liverpool, but if we can maybe try and sneak into that 4th spot and qualify for the Champions League, that would be glorious. It seems like it's going to be tricky, but there have been some really good signs of recovery from Angelo Peruzzi. Let's check in with Peruzzi's profile as well, just to remind ourselves who we are working with here. Here is Angelo Peruzzi. He is still currently studying for a Continental Pro license. I arranged that for him right at the start of our saves. That was about 6 months ago, and he's not managed to get it, which is maybe a little bit worrying, but he is getting results on the pitch with this 5-2-2-1 DM-AM style, this tiki-taka style, which I've tried to replicate on our tactics screen here. I've also tried to put the players in that he's been playing most. I've added the appearances here, look, so you can see some of their player stats. Before we go into this in a bit more detail, I do want to tell you that there was one more transfer that I did before the transfer window closed at the end of last episode. I did bring in Antonio Silva in the defence as well, a young 19-year-old centre-back. I brought him in for £24 million, confirmed guaranteed. It could rise to £40 million. I felt like that was the one area where Spurs were just a little bit weak in terms of defenders. We've got Dyer, Romero and Bastoni, of course, we brought in. We've got then Antonio Silva on the bench. We've got Ben Davies, who can play centre-back as well. We've got Tanganga, who's barely played. Davinson Sanchez, who got sent off in his 1 game and then apparently hasn't got back into the team at all. And then Longley, who has not been fancied by Peruzzi at all, looking at the squad here. You can see, though, the players that are making the team are these ones here. We've got a midfield of Højbjerg and Bissouma. McAllister's been playing further forward, it does seem, the best that I can see anyway, rather than Bentancur as well has been dropped to the bench but has played 14 games from there. In front of them, Heung-min Son hasn't been a starter. Now, is there a question mark about what we do with Son from this point? I mean, when he's been playing, I did have a look. When he's been playing, he has been playing as a striker, advanced forward look. Either he comes on off the bench, but he is playing as a striker rather than as one of these supporting midfielders where he doesn't really have any familiarity. But do we sell Son to try and get some money here? We are doing the transfers, aren't we? Peruzzi's doing the games. If he's not playing him, should we be cashing in on a 30-year-old that's got this value? I almost feel like that's the sensible thing to do, because I can't force him into the team unless we replace Peruzzi with a manager that's going to play a system that has 2 strikers or uses wingers, which at the moment we don't. You can see it's McAllister, it's Kulusevski that's starting. It's Harry Kane, who's only got 9 goals, which is that disappointing? I feel like it might be. Let's have a look at the results anyway from the start of the season following our disastrous start where we lost all 3 games. We bounced back with a win against Brighton, a draw against Southampton, back-to-back wins against Everton, Dortmund, Brentford and Olympiacos. I should show you as well. Champions League group was tricky. We had Milan, Dortmund and Olympiacos we top the group. We've managed to come through that as the group winners. Round of 16, we've got Bayern. So the Champions League run might well end there. I'm praying for an Angelo Peruzzi masterclass in this one. We'll see. We'll see. Bayern Munich, not an easy draw. But yeah, following that really good run there, we drew with Leeds a 2-2, beat Fulham 3-1, drew to Milan and lost to Milan. They were better than us on those nights. It did seem to be anyway. Beat Villa in between that though, drew to Leicester. We had a 1-0 win, a 1-0 win, a 4-0 win and a 3-1 win. West Ham, Newcastle, Olympiacos and Bournemouth. A 2-0 win against Dortmund. I mean, we're doing okay. Peruzzi's doing all right, isn't he, in this job? I don't think we can complain too much. He's been a good manager for Spurs so far. Not pulled up many trees. He's not in that top four and definitely not challenging for the title, but I think it's not too bad. There was a loss against Forest, but there's not many losses in here, especially in the league. Look, our last league, we haven't lost in the league actually since that Arsenal, since that those first three games that we played in the first episode. It's only this Forest loss in the league. A lot of draws, but that's pretty solid. Arsenal we beat as well. Carabao Cup third round. McAllister got the winner, our signing, which is quite nice. Chelsea we drew. Real Madrid beat them in a friendly, but I guess that doesn't really count. Through again in the Carabao Cup, by the way. We are still in the Carabao Cup going into the quarterfinals. Still in the Champions League. FA Cup hasn't started yet. We've got Carlisle, though. In today's episode, we're going to play games against Wolves, Carlisle, Brentford, or at least see how those games go, watch the goals go in, etc. And hopefully make some signings, because that's our main role here. We've brought in our boy, Angelo Peruzzi. Now we need to make sure we are giving him good players for his system to improve this team. And we've been given a bit of a budget for it. £33 million has been provided to us by the board. Happy days. £145,000 as well in wage. This is good. We can work with this. And I'm going to do some signings, but I'm also trying to do episodes so that we go to each transfer window, because those are the fun things to do if you are a director of football, isn't it? And I want you guys to tell me which players I should be trying to sign. Which position should I be trying to strengthen? Looking at this now, I think my next moves in this January window are going to be for a right wing back and a left wing back. Of course, in real life, they've gone for Pedro Porro in this right wing back position. Emerson's still getting games there, though. Perisic getting on a little bit. Maybe we could replace him. I feel like in midfield, we're okay. I wouldn't mind maybe one more DM, but I think we're okay there. And then with Kane and Son rotating up front, that's pretty good. Kulusevski and McAllister are great. And if Kane has to play deeper, he can. Has he actually played there, I wonder? Let's see. Does he play many games? He does. Look, he is picking him as the shadow striker in the Champions League, it would seem. Although these were friendlies. Maybe he's just testing him there in friendlies. But actually in competitive games, he's using him as a deep line play. Oh, no, look. Advanced playmaker, attacking midfielder. So he is playing him as an AMC in some games. I don't know why I didn't realise that before. I was just looking. Yeah, more recently, though, deep line forward as a striker, which maybe I need to change this because it's actually... He's not using that. He's using a deep line forward to have these guys supporting it. Anyway, that's interesting in itself. Just seeing the way and playing the game this different way is really, really fun. Either way, though, I think my targets are going to be a right wing back, perhaps Pedro Porro himself, who I did look at in the summer, but didn't want to join because he just signed a new contract. Maybe a left wing back too. I'm going to go through our January. I'm going to go through and play this Wolves game now, or at least Peruzzi is going to play this Wolves game, and we're going to see how it goes, and I'm going to put some bids in. I'll see you after Wolves. Okay, so he's just lost. He lost to Wolves. We've lost 2-1 to Wolves. Where is it? I mean, it's not great, is it? After that run that he's been on, after I talked about he's only lost one game in the league since the start of the season, this is what he's put out against Wolves. Silva did play actually well in the defence there. Son played up front, Kane in behind him. And yeah, they lost. They had a decent amount of shots as well. 17 shots, 5 on target. Worse XG, though, than Wolves, who got the 2 goals. It was a late winner from Boubacar Traore right at the end. In fact, let's watch those goals and see, as there's probably a bit of a conversation to have here, actually. There has been times during this save so far where they've been talking about me losing my job. And that's not my job as the director of football. That's because in game, I'm the manager, and these results are on me at the end of the day. And when Peruzzi's not winning them, there was times, especially after we drew to Milan and lost to Milan in the Champions League. There's Kane with the opening goal. We actually went in front in this game. Since after that, though, it was all Wolves, apparently, as it's Eric Dyer. That is terrible. Raul Jimenez slots it in, and then right at the death, Traore with the winner. It was a free kick from Neto. Lloris, that is not great. And then Kilman keeps it alive. I mean, sad times. We lost that game. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, there was a time where it was in the press where it looked like I would be sacked if we didn't manage to qualify from our Champions League group. We did bounce back and manage to do that. But there is definitely a conversation to be had that if things do start to go not so well, we will need to think about what we do to get out of that situation. If that means removing Peruzzi as our head coach and replacing him with a manager that is going to play a different system that might get better results, that is something we might have to do if we're going to keep our job. And just to say, if we lose our job, the save is not going to end because I'm having so much fun doing that. We'll go and find another job as the manager. We'll turn this into a director of football journeyman and we'll bring in our players. Maybe we'll bring Peruzzi to the next club that we go to. You know, I feel like we can have a lot of fun with this, even if we turn it into a journeyman. Let's continue from here then and tell you about the fact that I have now made a bid for Pedro Porro. It's £15 million up front. That could rise to 50, probably likely to rise to £40 million, but they have accepted that. He has a release clause of £39 million, and we're guaranteed to pay, I think, 40 with this one here, and we don't have to pay all of our money up front, meaning we could probably get another signing in if he chooses to sign. He did like the contract. Oh, no, in fact, I've not offered the contract to him yet. So I'm going to offer that to him, and we're going to move through, and then we'll think about who our other signing of the window is going to be. A left back, potentially. We do have Udogie out on loan, so I think maybe, I don't know if we even really need a left back. He's kind of our future one. He's really good on FM, isn't he? I'll show you him here, Udogie. I've signed him and tried to sign him in a few saves this year already. He's out on loan, look, from us to Udinese in Serie A. He comes back and starts at left back for us, doesn't he? So maybe not a left wing back, maybe just the right wing back now, and then from there maybe another attacking midfielder, so these rotate. Maybe another centre mid in here. If there's a really good one available, maybe here. Or is it still a centre back? Like a proper, like a Dyer replacement. I'll have a look what's about and I'll let you know. Then again, Lloris. How old is Lloris now? We just saw that mistake. He's 36. So maybe a really good keeper. Maybe a Diogo Costa or I don't know. There's a few options. I'm thinking out loud. If you have, if you're like, please do this. If you're a Spurs fan, let me know in the comments what you would be shouting for right now. And you can see whether I actually take your advice telepathically or not. Let's go through and play a couple more games. Let's go and play Carlisle and Brentford, both cup competitions, and I'll be back before Leeds to tell you what I've been up to. See you then. Okay, so I've gone big in the transfer window. Massive, actually. I have signed 2 new players, one of them being Pedro Porro, as discussed previously. The second of which, let me just show you on here, is Eduardo Camavinga from Real Madrid. He was interested in joining. I felt like we had to try and splash the cash, and I have absolutely splashed the cash on him. 20 years old, French midfielder, can play in this defensive midfield spot, which we use in this system that Angelo Peruzzi is playing with. We've brought him in for £65 million. It was £20 million up front, by the way, and then we are going to increase this. It could increase to 98 million, but he is so good, and he only gets better on Football Manager that I feel like we've just invested in the future and in the present. He's going to slot into that midfield, and he's going to slot in the midfield alongside a new right wing back in Pedro Porro, who has now joined. He's made his debut as well. Let me show you how he did on his debut. It literally says Porro impressive on return to English football. He got himself a nice assist, 7 key passes, an 8 out of 10 rating in the Carabao Cup game against Brentford. We're looking pretty good. I've put them into the side to show you how they might be fitting into this 11 for Peruzzi to go and play with. Camavinga, Bentancur, maybe Højbjerg, maybe Bissouma, who's played a lot of games too. That central midfield spot now is pretty good, I think. You got Porro on the right-hand side, Perisic. We looked at Udogie for the future. You got Bastoni, Dyer, Romero. Maybe a new central defender in the future instead of Dyer. Possibly, we'll see. Then you've got these 3 strikers, or these 3 forwards, with Son to replace them off the bench. Another thing to mention, actually, that I've just thought of is that Richarlison, he's barely played. No starts, in fact, for the club, and he wants to leave. So I do wonder if we need to offer him out. I've transfer listed him. I might just offer him out and see if we can get any money in for him, because that would go a long way to paying for Camavinga if we could do that. And he's just not being used by the manager. I think he's pretty good, Richarlison, but he's not being used by the manager, so I feel like we should let him go. We've played 2 games, as I mentioned before, as I promised. We beat Carlisle 3-0. Heung-min Son starting in this one, as the striker, scored twice, and the other goal was from Harry Kane. Let's watch those goals. Bentancur played it out wide. Matt Doherty, he's also Tommy's going to leave on a free, by the way. He feeds it into Son, who scores the opener. 27 minutes on the clock. Longley then starting. You can see that he has rotated here, Peruzzi. Doherty into Kane. A lot of first teamers in the game. We're playing Carlisle, but like Kane scoring a goal there. But there are definitely players that haven't been given as much game time this year in this game. Perisic back into Son. That was 3-0. That was the end of that, really. And we backed it up. Really decent win, actually. Carabao Cup quarter-final. We're into a Carabao Cup semi-final, which is a real chance at silverware. If Peruzzi could win some silverware in his first season, that would be it would go a long way to impressing himself in the history books here at Spurs, because they don't win many trophies. Maybe if he kicks off with one, that'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? It was a 3-1 win. Let me load up the goals here. Kane with a penalty for the first one there, slotting home after 14 or so minutes. Brentford equalised, I think here it was Visser down the left-hand side. He's got 2 players in the box to find. One of them being Mbuemo, takes it down, puts it in past Lloris. Again, that always just reminds me, we do need a keeper at some point. Summer signing, goalkeeper. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree with that. I think that might be something to look for. Then it was bouncing around in there and Perisic scored to make it 2-1. I think that was a Perisic goal. They surely checked that for VAR, and I think they did, didn't they? And it was obviously given. Camavinga played in this game. Porro played in this game. He's given game time to our new signings. It was Son with the header, which hit almost both posts as it went in there. 3-1 into a Carabao Cup semi-final where we don't know who we're going to play yet. I'm going to go now, and probably, I don't think we're going to do much more business because we've not got any money. We're over our wage budget. Although, actually, we've got 10 million in the bank because we've just signed, or sold, I should say, Davinson Sanchez gone to Zenit. He didn't play any games, basically. He got sent off in like an early game, and then he was never picked again by Peruzzi. So he's gone for £10 million, and we've got a couple of other players that might be going out too. We've got, although actually, has he gone? Oh, he hasn't gone yet. He joins in a few weeks. We have already sold, I should say. Japhet Tanganga for £10 million has gone to Hoffenheim. That was the second one there. So we have got £10 million for him. I also sold Lucas Moura for 4.5 in the summer too, which is cheap, but he was never going to play, and his contract, I think, was running out as well. So yeah, I'm going to go through now until the end of January. Just in case any more transfer business happens, we'll include it in today's video. I'll show you these results. I'll let you know whether we're going to make a Carabao Cup final. And if we do, we'll have to come back for that one and see how he does, won't we? I will see you after the window has closed. Okay, we're back, and the transfer window has now closed. Deadline day has passed. It's the 1st of Feb, and we've had some results on the pitch as well. Let me show you, first of all, before we talk about transfer business, there's not been much. Let me show you the matches that have been played then. Since that Brentford game was the last one, we have played Leeds, Leicester, Arsenal, City. It's been a weird run. We've played Arsenal and City back-to-back twice because for some reason we have the worst cup luck ever this year. The teams we are drawing seems difficult, right? We've played Leeds and beat them 3-0. Let me click on this game and show you these goals. I want to show you as many of the goals as possible. You get to see the team that Peruzzi is putting out. You get to see that he's still using this system and how they're getting on, which I think is important for a save like this. You don't want to just look at transfers. We want to know that we've got a manager in place here who's doing things. I want to follow those things that he's doing. A 3-0 win away at Leeds here is just really, really good. I was genuinely worried that we were going to get the sack in this save, and I still am a little bit for next season, but now that we're bringing better players in as well, this is really good. Kane scores the opener just on the stroke of half-time, or just after half-time, actually, and then from there, we're pretty impressive. I'm going to turn the speed up a little bit. Kulusevski, Camavinga, Perisic, lovely through ball. There's Alexis McAllister. 2 of the new signings involved in that one as well. They checked it for offside. He was onside. Here's Heung-min Son. Back to Kulusevski. Son then drills it past Meslier, who kind of flaps it to let it in a little bit. But that was a 3-0 win. We don't need to look at the next one, really, because it was Leicester. It was a 0-0 draw. I'll show you the team that played. Son played striker again. I feel like we're not got quite as good when Son does play up front. Don't know. Maybe that's just a bit of a coincidence. But the rest of the team looked like this. Longley started ahead of our... Bastoni played central, sorry. And then Dyer was on the bench for that one, I think. We were the better team, but drew 0-0. Arsenal, this was in the league. Another win against Arsenal. Well, I say another win. A win against Arsenal. We lost very early in the season, didn't we? This time, despite having a worse XG and less shots on goal, we beat them 3-2 in a bit of a blockbuster. I'll show you the goals now. We started with a bang. Harry Kane straight out of the traps. 2nd minute, scoring the opening goal, and then he backed it up with the second as well. This was the opener. It was Ben White with not great play as he gave it away. Harry Kane smashed it in. I think he's playing as that shadow striker again, in behind Heung-min Son, who's playing as the striker. Here came the second as well. It was Harry Kane again. Camavinga winning it back. Kane on the volley. That is a beauty of a finish, isn't it, from Harry Kane? And then Arsenal started to fight back. 49 minutes from a corner. It was Gabriel. That was 2-1. And then it was 3-1 to us, I think. Porro crosses it in. Sonic bounces down. It's not good defending. That was 3-1. And then there was a final goal from Arsenal. 3-2 it finished. Tierney picks it up, drives through the middle, ball over the top. Odegaard looked like we played offside. Thought it was offside. He was onside. But we won again. North London derby. 3-2 win, and we'd go on to play Arsenal again in quick succession because we had them in the FA Cup 4th round. We beat Carlisle in the 3rd round, got Arsenal in the 4th round, beat them 2-1 by the way. I'm not going to show you the City goals, but before we look at that Arsenal game, we went to the Etihad and got well and truly humbled. We lost 4-0 to City. There's the team. It was Son up front again. I think Peruzzi has rotated a little bit here. It's not come off too well though. 4-0 defeat in the away leg of that tie, meaning we had a lot to do in the home leg. The home leg we drew 2-2. I mean, there it is. Look, we are out of the Carabao Cup. We're not going to win that trophy that we talked about earlier. The Spurs curse continues, at least until next season. We'll go again next year if we're still here, that is, which I'm hoping we will be. We're doing okay. We should be, right? This was the second leg. It was goals from Haaland that kept them through. It was, what, 6-2 on aggregate by the end of it. McAllister and Bastoni, 2 new signings scoring goals for us, which is pretty cool. But yeah, and then in between that though, happier news, we did beat Arsenal in the FA Cup 4th round. I'll show you the goals to this one. We bounced back from going a goal down. Gabby Jesus with the opener after 8 minutes. I'll show you that goal here. It's annoying that, why do I have to keep turning the speed up on this every single time? I'd like it if it would stay, but either way, it's fine. There was his goal in at the near post to head in. Then we bounced back. 22nd minute, it was Bentancur from the Porro corner. And then the winner, still in the first half, Porro's throw in. There's Son down the right-hand side, waiting for support. Kulusevski was that support. 2-1 win. And we've gone through to the 5th round of the FA Cup, where we've drawn United. Our draws have been really, really tricky, haven't they, so far in this saves? Considering 5th round, we've had Carlisle, not so hard. Arsenal, now United. We're doing it the hard way. Bayern in the Champions League, that's really tricky as well. I'm going to, after this video, go and play the rest of this season. Well, I am. I'm not going to, I should say. Peruzzi is going to play the rest of this season, hopefully keeping himself in a job. It's a C+ from the board. It's a C from the supporters. It's fine, but it is going to be decided by if he can qualify for the Europa League and he's already, I think, is that the latter stages? Are they happy with that? We're on course to reach the quarterfinal. I think they might want us to get through against Bayern, which might mean that we fail this one, which wouldn't be great. We are going to need to beat United as well for the FA Cup. I'm a bit worried because if we're only just in that top 6, look. We're very comfortably in the top 6, actually. Saying it. We are 6 is what I meant by that. We should finish in the Europa League spot though, shouldn't we? Which is the bare minimum for the league. So we should be fine. Peruzzi should be fine. But that is the situation after however many games it is. 22 games of our league season. Peruzzi has led us to 6 in the league. Through in the FA Cup, out of the Carabao Cup now. He's still playing his 5-2-2-1. We've signed some absolute ballers though. Camavinga coming in. Bastoni. We've got Porro. McAllister. I think we're on to big things here. Hopefully you guys are still enjoying these episodes too. This series will be back at the end of season 1 in episode 3. Thank you so much for watching. If you are enjoying it and you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. And if you think you have a mate who would enjoy this too, go and tell them. Get them to subscribe as well. And then maybe, just maybe, we'll make some more friends. That sounds nice, doesn't it? Leave a like and let me know what you think in those comments down below as well. And while you're here, watch this video that will be at the end of the video as well, because I think you're going to enjoy it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.